Broadband grants in the volunteer state. Possible fraud in the Affordable Connectivity Program. Starlink appeals their RDOF funding denial. And low-latency satellite internet service on the way from Hughes Network Systems. Those stories and more on This Week in the Broadband Universe. Hello and welcome. I'm Craig Corbin. Broadband infrastructure grants totaling nearly $450 million have been awarded in Tennessee. The largest grant of more than $53 million will go to United Telephone Company, owned by Middle Tennessee EMC and operating under the name United Communications. Charter, slated to receive a grant for better than $20 million, Comcast, $2.2 million, and AT&T roughly $500,000. A total of 36 companies will receive grants in the program, which should bring broadband access to more than 150,000 homes and businesses currently without service. Over the past 4 years, the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development has awarded more than $120 million in broadband grants by way of state and federal funding. Tennessee becomes the latest state to announce broadband infrastructure grants over the last few months, joining Maryland, Arizona, Oklahoma, and North Carolina. Word from the FCC this week of RDOF funding for 2 more service providers. Support has been authorized for eFiber San Juan for deployments in Utah, as well as cyber broadband for projects in Alabama. The Rural Digital Opportunity Fund funding is awarded by way of reverse auction to cover a portion of the cost in providing broadband to unserved rural areas. 2 of the top 10 bidders in that RDOF auction, which wrapped up at the end of 2020, had their awards rescinded recently, Starlink and LTD Broadband, but now Starlink is appealing the FCC's decision to deny the satellite service provider upwards of $900 million in funding. Parent company SpaceX argued that the FCC's decision is, quote, flawed as a matter of both law and policy. The suit goes on to say that the FCC improperly denied Starlink the funding based on its current network speeds, while not holding service providers up to their speed requirements until 3 years from now. Starlink won just more than $885 million out of the $9.23 billion in subsidies to be distributed over the coming decade. The FCC Office of Inspector General has raised a red flag over possible broadband subsidy fraud in the Affordable Connectivity Program. Potentially, a dozen providers applied for ACP money to serve multiple households simultaneously based on a single eligible user. That's something not allowed under program regulations. One example of the fraud listed more than 1,000 Oklahoma households enrolled in the Affordable Connectivity Program under the name and social security number of a single 4-year-old child. Mergers and acquisitions in media and telecom totaled more than $4.6 billion during August. That according to an analysis by S&P Global Market Intelligence. The number of deals dropped from 205 in August of last year to only 137 this past month, a drop of 33%. The sector saw the first deal valued at better than $1 billion since June. That was T-Mobile's acquisition of spectrum licenses from Channel 51 LLC for $1.9 billion. New low-latency satellite internet service will soon be available to residents in select U.S. markets. Hughes Network Systems is using a blend of geostationary satellite and wireless technology in their HughesNet Fusion offering. The multipath solution was previewed earlier this year, and the planned launch next year of the ultra-high-density Jupiter 3 satellite. Service plans with 100 megabits per second download will be available. More people viewed their programming during August by streaming. That, according to Nielsen's Total TV and Streaming Snapshot. A total of 35% in that category, just ahead of cable television at 34.5%. Broadcast television at 22.1%. The only category with an increase. Total time spent watching for the month was down slightly compared to July numbers. The biggest jump in streaming went to HBO Max, courtesy of House of the Dragon. And finally, if early numbers for Amazon Prime's Thursday Night Football are any indication, that $1 billion a year deal with the NFL might be even costlier. Trade group TVB, the Television Bureau of Advertising, did a deep dive into the Nielsen data from the Thursday night matchup between the 49ers and the Houston Texans, which was watched by just over 1 million viewers. What they found was that nearly half, 495,000, viewed the game on their local broadcast stations and not on Amazon Prime Video. We'll see you next time on This Week in the Broadband Universe.